how to build an earth mandala. First of all, you don't have to dress like a high priestess or boho. You don't even have to wear clothes at all. Or you can dress like a sports fan even though you're not. Mandala doesn't have to fit any particular beauty standard. It doesn't have to be symmetrical. It can be whatever it wants. Mine has tufts of hair and all kinds of limbs. Mine is kind of like Kali. I'm gonna call mine Kali. There is no right or wrong way to make a mandala, and I personally refuse to impose intense symmetry and order onto nature. She is fine the way she doesn't need any weird beauty standards. She's good. So beautiful. Another suggestion is try not to include poison oak. And if you have dogs, they have to be just like a little irritated. You could be like growing a horn with your hair. It's all good. Just come as you art. Welcome to Unbehaved. And today I'm going to give you 5 ways to help you reduce self-objectification. If you're not sure what that is, I did make another video and you can access it right up here. It's a whole explanation of self-objectification. However, I realize that it can be pretty complex to think about it, especially if you're looking at other people and trying to apply it to them, because it's very subjective. You don't really know what's motivating other people. To simplify the idea, I'm going to suggest that we just think of it in terms of ourselves and not try and diagnose anybody else. I created 2 criteria so you would know if you are actually self-objectifying. Now, most women do to some degree. It's on a spectrum. Some men do as well, but it affects women most of all. It affects our ability to function as well as we could function otherwise. So here are the 2 key points that you should know. So number 1, when assessing our own value, our own worth, we place our appearance above all other characteristics. For instance, you were just nominated as a justice of the Supreme Court, but you gained 20 pounds prepping for it, and now you think you suck. That's kind of extreme, because I'd like to imagine that any person who's just been nominated to be justice of the Supreme Court does not go through that, but I don't know. So number 2, you constantly monitor your appearance and think of how you look from an outsider's perspective. This often prevents you from engaging with the world from a first-person perspective, as you are simultaneously looking at what you are doing from a third-person perspective. In other words, you're laughing, you're enjoying yourself, you're having a good time, you're laughing, but then suddenly you kind of disassociate and you see that you're laughing, you hear your voice, and you become embarrassed. So you stop laughing. Or maybe you are enjoying sex, but then you see your cellulite and you imagine your partner seeing your cellulite, and then you just stop enjoying it. Or you're having sex, and am I allowed to say that on YouTube? Is this going to be demonetized? I mean, not that I'm monetized, but you know, I want to be monetized one day, and you know, I'm faking it till I make it, so I gotta fake it right. Anyway, speaking of faking it, back to sex. you're having sex, but you are really kind of performing it for your partner. You're performing your own pleasure for your partner, and it's making you hard to connect to your own pleasure. So you have to fake it. Everybody experiences this aspect of self-objectification to some degree. I've read about it. Sartre, the existentialist, talks about it. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's en soi versus pour soi. En soi is like your first person view, and pour soi is when you're viewing yourself through somebody else. And he makes the example, like you're walking down the street singing or just kind of enjoying yourself, but perhaps being a little ridiculous, and you're doing just fine until somebody sees you, and it juts you out of your first person perspective, and now you're viewing yourself from another person. So maybe it only affects women and existentialists. That's a possibility. No, actually it affects everybody at some point. But with women, because society has objectified us, we have learned to view the appearance of our body to be our greatest asset, to be where our worth is. Even if we are a Supreme Court justice, we still, if we have a fat day, we think that we suck. Yes, everybody experiences it to some degree, but people who identify as female tend to experience it more. And it has repercussions because it's incredibly damaging to think value is wrapped up in one part of you. If you don't think of yourself holistically and just think of your value, your worth as just one thing. But it gets even worse because the beauty standards are so unrealistic. They're not even based on human characteristics anymore. I mean, they're based on Photoshop, photo edited people, and those people are often living 24/7 for their beauty and fitness. Some people disagree on the definition of self-objectification. Like, for instance, my husband, he takes the word very literally, and my husband is a PhD psychologist, and he works mostly in neuroscience about it. He doesn't understand what I'm talking about, and I think part of that is because he hasn't experienced it. And the other part is he takes the word extremely literally, self-objectify, as in you think of yourself as an object. For instance, a chair, like the chair I'm sitting on. And this chair has no feelings, doesn't want to advocate for itself, it doesn't care. He doesn't understand how a woman could self-objectify that way. And I agree with him. I don't believe most women do that. Maybe there are some women who are incredibly disabled, but that's not what I mean when I talk about self-objectification, and that's not what a lot of psychologists mean when they talk about self-objectification. One of the reasons why it's so important not to diagnose others is we just don't know what's going on through the minds of others. We don't know what motivates them. Take Kim Kardashian, the woman that everybody loves to hate. I do believe that Kim Kardashian perpetuates and represents an objectified woman. However, I have no idea how much she actually self-objectifies. How would I know? Does she value her body above all other aspects of herself? Honestly, I actually doubt it. I bet she attributes her success to her intellect, her courage, and her resources as well. Does Kim Kardashian constantly monitor her appearance? Probably. Does Elon Musk constantly monitor his business? Probably. Is Kim Kardashian's body her business? Yes. Is any of it my business? No. All that said, Kim, if you're watching this video right now and you're enjoying it, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell button so that you'll be notified when I make another video. Before I get into the 5 ways to reduce self-objectification, I just want you to know we can't instantly stop the objectification of women altogether, but we can learn to stop internalizing it, which will lead to less internalized misogyny and even influence a few of those who tend to objectify us. Because if we stop calling ourselves cows in front of others, others might be less inclined to treat us like cattle. By learning to not internalize the male gaze, we will be modeling the same behavior for our daughters and sons, which will have a huge impact on their future and humankind, because they will influence others who will influence others, and so on and so on. And if they're not self-objectifying, they will probably be more influential. By not self-objectifying, we are going against the social grain, our conditioning. We are, in fact, unbehaving. Also, when you make an authentic decision to resist any form of social conditioning that exists to keep you out of alignment with your power, the possibilities in your life increase exponentially and continue to increase with each authentic decision that you make. When you open one door, more doors open. It's something like that. I'm really bad with quotes. Notice that I say authentic decision. That's because I'm not talking about rebellion. Because when you rebel, you are still making decisions based on somebody else's vision of the world. You're just reacting to them. But when you make an authentic decision, you are choosing to serve your own vision. I have a question for you, and it's just something I want you to ponder until the next time we get together. Well, not the next time, because the next time we get together, I'm going to be talking about my experience as a silver hair influencer, kind of a beauty influencer, and why I stopped doing it. So that's going to be my next video. But I think after that, but in the next couple of videos, we could talk about this question. And I invite you to answer it in the comment section, because the more women talk about these kinds of things, the more that we realize that we are not alone in our experiences, and that there's an actual reason for some of our self-esteem and focus issues. We also learn why we often size each other up, feel jealous and competitive. Importantly, and then most importantly, we get over that. We have to talk about these things, and then we start to learn to collaborate instead of compete. And instead of feeling jealousy, we feel compersion. Compersion is the opposite of jealousy. It's a great word. It's when you're happy for someone. Anyway, and the most important thing that we learn is that it's just not our fault. It's not our fault that we self-objectify. It is the fault of thousands and thousands of years of conditioning that convinced us that we were just a body created for the pleasure of men, whether that be beauty or sex or childbearing. So speaking of existing for the pleasure of men, the cherry on top of it is that we were literally told that we should not take any pleasure in our own bodies, that we had to save ourselves for the man who would eventually take charge of us, and that we were not even allowed to enjoy vanity. Even though we had our beauty duty, we were not allowed to enjoy the fact that we were doing it well. That sucks. Here's the question, and then I will get on with the 5 ways to blind the male gaze. This question came up in the novel I'm reading right now. I'm still reading it. It's called Full, about a wellness influencer dealing with an eating disorder and grappling with cognitive dissonance as she realizes that she has not been honest with her followers. Okay, here we go. Here's the question. Think back to the first time you became conscious of your own body as seen by someone else. What led up to it? What happened? And how did it make you feel? I'll share my own story in the next couple of videos. So write it down, put it in a journal or on a napkin or in the comments below. And hopefully we can get a conversation going. Here we go. How to blind the male gaze. The first thing you need to do is take charge of your social media consumption. There's a trend right now. It's called social media intermittent fasting. And it means that you decide ahead of time that you want to take a certain amount of time off of social media every day. And it's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're just going to take an hour off every day. Like designate a time to take an hour off of social media every day where you don't even pick up your phone to scroll through Facebook, Instagram, whatever. You just don't. It could be 10 minutes, anything. It's just you set an intention and you follow through with it. That's the important part. It makes you aware of how much you just sort of unconsciously spend on social media as well. Another thing that you can do is you can change your Instagram settings. I know this about Instagram. I don't really know how to do it on Facebook, and I don't know TikTok. So, but I'm sure you can ask someone or Google it or something. But on Instagram, you can actually control what you see. Well, I'll do a little reel right here. I'll do it right. Here's the reel that will show you how. Okay, I'm going to use my unbehaved account instead of my main account. And the first thing that I'm going to do is hit the hourglass icon that will take me to my Explore page where I get to discover new content. Here it is. Oh, look, there's one of my reels from my Silvery Locks account. I better go like it because that's going to help my algorithm. All right. Now I'm going to scroll down and look for content that makes me feel bad about myself as it encourages me to compare myself to others. This is a new account. I really don't consume a lot of harmful content, so I'm actually having trouble finding any. What the heck was that? Okay. Back on task. Okay. I'm still looking. All right. Here's someone I don't know. No judgment against her, although this is a pretty aspirational image. Anyway, I'm going to tell Instagram that I'm not interested, and I'll see less content like that. Now, here's a friend of mine, and I want to support her and see more content of hers, so I'm going to follow her. You all know that, right? But if you also hit the bell, you can make sure you see everything that she produces, and that will really support her as well and support her content. So that's what I'm doing right now. And yeah, and here's some content that I just don't really want to see. So I'm going to tell the algorithm that I'm not interested. And now I'm going back to my account and I'm going up to my following. And I'm going to pick an account that I want. I don't want to unfollow them. I don't want them to know that I'm unfollowing them, but I don't want to see their content. So here's a little trick. Now this is not real. This is not like an account that I don't want to follow, but this is just an example. So I'm going to circle mute and then I will see less of their content. And also like choosing not to like or spend time looking at like aspirational images of digitally edited female bodies and beauty ads. If you reduce your time looking at that, the algorithm will serve it to you less. The second thing that you can do to reduce the internalized male gaze is when posting selfies, Ask yourself why you are doing it. Be honest, but give yourself grace. This is not a shame game. Absolutely not a shame game. If you're posting it in order to affirm your desirability, that's totally normal. But just be aware why you are doing it. When you feel like doing that, or when you do it, like you don't have to do it, but if you do it and you did it and it's done, take the opportunity to introspect, to go within yourself and think about all the amazing things that you are besides your body, like the appearance of your body. Do you have a good heart? Do you work hard? Do you just kind of go through like an inventory of all the things that you're proud of about yourself. And also, even think about the things that you could work on and things that you might like to change that are not about your physical appearance. And just take that opportunity to look at yourself from a first person perspective. Enjoying one's beauty is not the problem, but prioritizing your beauty over all other aspects of yourself is where it gets troublesome. Go forest bathing. Go paddling. Go skiing. Go surfing. Go snowshoeing. Go cross-country skiing. Pay attention. When you're outside, pay attention to the scent of earth. Greenery, mushrooms, mildew, water, flowers, wood. Look at the shapes in the clouds. I like to compare bark to a very old, sun-cured woman of immeasurable wisdom. If you're in the sea, you smell seaweed and brininess and seagull poop, copper tone, suntan, coconut, margaritas, I don't know. Touch the bark, the rocks, rub the leaves between your fingers, make googly eyes at a dragonfly. Last summer, I made a dragonfly friend. Her name was Iris, and she everywhere I went outside, she just hung out with me, and she would just land just a few feet from me everywhere I went. Like I would go and sit outside on a chair, and there was a little potted plant right next to me, and she always perched right up on that pot, and we just hung out, and we made googly eyes at each other. The point is to be very present in nature and very present in yourself. You know what drives me crazy are those reels. You see them all the time, or videos, and it's mostly women who post them. If men do it, it's usually self-deprecating, but when women do it, it's usually kind of an empowering post. But it will show women enjoying herself in nature. Maybe she's standing at the edge of the ocean, and you see her from the back, long hair flowing, something like that. Or maybe she's standing on top of a cliff and you see an entire valley in front of her. But these videos are often narrated in the third person, often in a male voice that begins something like this. She's not like the others. She is wild and she is free. Or maybe it's a country song or a Patrick Swayze song. She's like the wind. Yeah. I don't know. It just drives me crazy. They are meant to empower, but they actually model the male gaze. And as a side note, I would suggest not referring to yourself in the third person, like ever. Get into the zone. Auto zone. Exactly. It's the auto zone. It's your zone. What do you love to do so much that you lose your sense of time? Do more of that. Okay, so it's wine for me, but it's also writing, and it's hula hooping. Right, and hula hoop, putting on some music, and just hula hooping. And I do it for hours sometimes. I just totally lose myself. And it's the best feeling ever. I feel so good doing it. I feel good after it. I love writing poetry. I used to love trail running to music. Once the endorphins kicked in, I was almost a danger to myself. It was like the drug of my choice. I would totally lose myself, and sometimes I would get way too far out in the wild. I would literally run like 8 miles until I realized that I had to run 8 miles to get back. Okay, so whatever it is that gets you into the zone, do more of it. Number 4, play. Dance like no one is watching. That's it. Just flip the bird at self-consciousness. That's it. Number 5. Love your body, not for what it looks like, but for what it can do. This is part of body neutrality, actually. So think about how amazing it is to play hopscotch. Bear with me. Think about it. The fact that you can jump and land on the very exact spot that you planned to land on is incredible. Just with the split second of your mind, you know exactly how much torque you need, how much force you need, or whatever torque or whatever it is, in order to achieve that trajectory to get you right to that spot. I mean, really think of it. Think of the choreography between the parts of your brain, the nerves, the muscles. I don't know, I'm not a scientist, but like, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. If you think you can't do math, you can, because that is some serious math. And if you're not able, I mean, if you can't hop, that's fine. You can do it. Think about playing chess. It's the same thing. You pick up a piece and you land it on the exact square that you want to land it on. Boom. It's just amazing to me. If you love to run or walk, just think about your body in motion. Think about the muscles. Think about how powerful you are. Think about how free you are, because you can get yourself from A to B. Like, you should go out and run or walk or bike or whatever just because you can. Just because you can do it. That if you are in a wheelchair, it's the same. Think about how capable your arms are, how strong they are. I've tried to wheel a wheel. I've tried to wheel a wheel. I can't even speak. I've tried to wheel a wheel. I've tried to wheel a wheel. I can't say it. When you eat, think only about how you are nourishing your body. Like, if you're do the Popeye thing. If you're eating a can of spinach, imagine yourself, just getting so strong and so energetic and so powerful and like a superhero. If you're eating ice cream, think about how amazing it is that your nose and your tongue can bring you so much pleasure. Just savor it and just be happy to be alive. And that's it. I'm concluding this video. But thank you so much for joining me today. Because it really helps. If you made it this far, you probably liked the video. So please like it. That really helps my videos to be seen by other people, and it encourages me so much. And I can't wait to talk more about this with you. Letting go of self-objectification is super hard because it's part of us. It is pretty much edited into our DNA. It's fun. It's how we relate to each other. It's just hard. And I'll do a video on that, how we handle that, letting it go, because it does require a reframing of our past. And yeah, it's hard. So, But we're going to get through this together. We're going to do it together. My next video, I hope to have out in a couple days, and it will be about my silver hair influencing journey. And I hope you watch it. All right. Cheers. It's not wine. It is straw wine.